Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, one and all present here. I, Harshita Khanna, on behalf of Amity Law School, Noida, welcome you all to a very resourceful workshop on how to write a research paper. The panelist for today's workshop is Dr. Shubhradita Sarkar. Sir is an associate professor of law in Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Sir has done his graduation in law from University of Calcutta in 2003. Sir is an alumnus of NLSIU Bangalore and has completed his LLM, MPhil, and PhD from National Law School of India, University. Sir has a vast experience in teaching and research. He has written numerous books and research papers under his name. We are obliged to have you, sir, amongst us today. I request, sir, to kindly address the gathering. Over to
Thank-
you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. So I think I'm visible and audible properly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, madam, and thank you so much, Arvind sir. Arvind sir has been a very good friend and dear friend. We were colleagues for a very short period of time, but we still have a very long relationship in that one, and he has been very helpful to us on many occasions. So thank you, sir, for inviting me here, and thank you, Harshina madam and Priyanka madam.
Yeah, sir. We are thankful. You have
Definitely.
come here and just will give your the input to our students. We are so much thankful to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's my pleasure also. So I'm going to share my PPT. So just I need to know that are these students of LLB or LLM?
Let me tell you, actually, sir, here in 10th semester of BA LLB program, 5-year course,
Okay.
and LLB program, 3-year course, 6 semester. So there is
Okay.
a provision for dissertation. So LLB students are there. On the other side, LLM program is also run in this institute. So students of LLM program are also therein.
Okay. So already all are senior advocates. That means
Senior
by the time LLBs go to means final year, they will offer internships.
Ji.
Right. So thank you, sir. Just I wanted to know, although good afternoon, all the participants here. I will make a presentation. It is more. I am not going to deal with theory at all. I am only going to tell you about some techniques that what we follow or which is expected from you to follow so far writing a good article is concerned. And as sir has already mentioned that there are also LLM students, so you can also take some help. Of course, the dissertation would not be exactly that what an article is, because you need to be more technical in that way. But see, some of the basics don't change whether you are writing an article or you are writing a dissertation. So that remains almost same. So just this is what I'm going to discuss. That I'm going to discuss some certain techniques of writing a good research article. Now, first thing is that why is legal writing different from other kinds of writing? See, what happens is that in terms of legal writing, we always most of that legal writing that we can think about, they are we always write to a very skeptic audience. Why it's skeptic audience? The skeptic audience, this is because that whatever we write or what as an law professional or a law academics, we write for an audience who can question all arguments in your writing. So the goal is that whatever you argument that you put in your there, you have to substantiate with analysis and with authority. right? So and that's why, you know, even in law, that citations are so important, right? That why do we cite is because of that one. First thing is that the first thing that we must do in terms of legal writing is that we have to find out a researchable problem. Now this is one of the things that, no, many of the times we get confused, or we are at a loss that to find out that what exactly should we write, that what is that we would write. So what is there we should write is that if we should think about a gap, an ambiguity, some unresolved issue, or something that is unsettling, right? So these are even if you think about the courts also, they do they do the same thing, that they are only talking about an issue. So some same thing you are supposed to do in a legal writing is that you have to get something, a gap or an ambiguity. So how do you get this one? So you can get it from the class discussions, from cases that you read, from the questions in your case book, new some judicial pronouncement, and sometimes you can discuss with your faculty members as well, right? So these are different ways that you can get and get something and find out a researchable problem. Like for example, if I say, although it is pending before the court, that you see that uh, there is a researchable problem, if I immediately say, is regarding some, say for example, marriage, child marriage issue, right? It is not very well settled. So there is now the POCSO is there. There is now the this child marriage, that 2005 legislation is there. There is also the personal law is there, and there are a lot of contradictory decisions which are coming out from different high courts. So I'm just giving you an example that, you know, so you can, this can provoke you to write something, a new thing. For example, I'll give you a very recently that I was looking at this. I was supposed to make some presentations on international humanitarian law, and they said that talk about these conventions. So I was thinking that, you know, there is no point in talking about the conventions as such. See, because why I'm trying to say is that if you are already researching on things which are well settled, there is no point in doing research. You are just doing some search. So something new, like for example, when I was told to give some presentation on IHL, that's not a subject that I generally teach. So I thought that let me find out something. So I started googling around. I discussed with one of my friend who worked with ICRC, and then I thought that okay, he was talking about that. Look, there is something you can talk about cyber warfare, and I will tell you that when he said that, you know, cyber warfare, and then I had to how you narrow down your topic. So I'll come to that one. So I'm trying to say is that okay. Then I thought that okay, IHL is not about, you know, guns and cannons and warships and all those things. So now the whole thing has changed and has gone. There's a new dimension which has come in, and then I thought about cyber warfare. I'll come to this example once again for narrowing down your topic. So how do you do that research? So sometimes what you do is that you undertake literature search. In fact, I did this one, right? So first is that you identify, and then what you do is that you do some literature review on this one. See, some of the time what happens is that literature review, people give less importance to literature review. They don't search a lot, and there's no harm, but you know, so-called you call yourself as Gen Z or whatever it is, right? The thing is that you have to spend considerable period of time on Google or in your library, if you ever visit that one, to find out that what new topic that is. You may be just few minutes you spend on Google and you start writing something. You will find out that already not today, maybe 15 years back onwards, people have been writing on that one. So your newness in that topic is not there. Now, so it's very important that you identify the area and then it narrow it down to a specific topic. That's what I was just talking about. So what happens is that I've given you an example. Let's say you are saying, oh, I'll write something about human rights. Then you said, okay, human rights, there could be few billion articles that are there. What will you write? You said that, okay, I'll write about victims' rights. Then you may think, even victims' rights, there are again tons of topics that are there. So you may say that, oh, I'll write about victims in criminal trials and particularly rights of witnesses in murder trials. So you see this one that right from that fact that having this human rights, that broad area, you narrowed it down. I'll give another example that I was talking about, that IHL thing. So when I was told to talk about IHL, then I thought about the conventions. Then I thought a little bit about this one, and I discussed about that. Then I thought about the second Geneva Convention, which is about shipwrecked and sea wars, right? That one, your second Geneva Convention. Then I thought that, okay, second Geneva Convention, I just can't talk about. Then I talked about cyber warfare, because that's what my friend suggested me. And then I thought about cyber warfare in terms of the second Geneva Convention, right? And then I read a few articles, other things, and then I made a presentation. Right now, however, it is not a very new topic that I am the first person who is talking about this one. There are many write-ups already there, but it was more of an IHL conference, so I thought that I should do something new, give them some new things. So that's why I talked about this one. So I'm trying to say is that it operates like a funnel structure, that on top it is broad and you narrow it down to a specific topic. So a good article, a good book may give you the breakthrough that you are reading a good article or giving reading a good book that can give you. So that way you have to find out a problem, a researchable problem, and then you have to narrow it down to one thing. You can always, at the end of this presentation, you can have some discussion over this one if you still have some kind of problem here. So and then where do you should try to know. And one of the things that which I often find out is that law people writing articles, and there is barely law in that one. And that should not be the issue, because don't forget that you are not an historian, you are not a sociologist, you are not a engineer or a medical student, you are a law student. So your core domain is law. You can always do an interdisciplinary studies. You can always talk about this one, but you cannot talk without law. So there should be a substantial emphasis on law, and that's why you should know what the law is. Like I was just giving an example on different kinds of articles being written on child marriage. Like somebody can write from a sociological perspective, somebody can write it from a medical perspective, all those things. But you are a law student, so you need to focus on law, and you can bring other dimensions to that one. That is kind of very much allowed to do, right? So then what you can do is that you have to read widely. Now, this is one of the things that there is no substitute of that one. I don't really know that whether there is any substitute of widely reading, right? And by the way, you can say that, sir, I can watch some documentaries and some YouTube programs and some good YouTubers, right? And I can get some ideas. You can always get that one. But the point I'm trying to tell you is that whether you read or you listen, you have to devote certain times to get a hold of an idea that it is going on in your mind, or you want to develop that one. So what you can do is that you can read widely, you can write down your notes, whichever way that you want. Somebody is happy keeping notes on pen and paper, you can do that one. You want to do it on your mobile, you'd want to do it on some other, on your laptop or anything in that, you can do that one. And you have to arrange those materials, that if you are thinking that you are, whatever materials that you have collected, you should have your own way of arranging it. Whether you arrange it topic wise, you arrange it chapter wise, you arrange it whichever way that you think that is that you are comfortable with, you should do that one. In fact, sometimes you can use these flags and other things, write on them, do whatever you want to do, but you have to adopt some process, because once you have widely read, then sometimes it becomes very difficult to actually recall them and arrange them properly. You can use highlighters, whether it's a soft copy or a hard copy. You can highlight them, make notes. All those things you have to do after you have read that one. In fact, one of the things that I often do is that, say, for example, on the mobile, I'm reading something. All of you are attached to your mobiles, right? So sometimes I see a kind of a like a news item or a write-up. What I immediately do is that I click on the share button. And what I do is that I share it to my email ID. So what happens is that whatever news item that I'm reading through, I shared it on my email, and in my email itself, I have created boxes, right? I have created boxes, and I put them there. So at any given point of time, I want to revisit those one. I will not have a problem. I will not leave it on the inbox, by the way. I will never leave it on the inbox. I will transfer it. I'll create a box and I'll give them separately. So this identify the claim, right? This claim is your solution to that problem. Now you have to have a argument in that one, right? I was just talking about this one about child marriage or something like that. You have to say that, look, I think that the law is inadequate at this moment, and we should have deal with different kinds of law, or maybe the existing law is good enough, but this is the way that the law should be read, right? So you have to come up with a claim of this one, and it should be sound, novel, non-obvious, and useful. You see, all these things you should not, your claim should not be such, right, that it is means it should not be just a casual statements. There should be something which is researchable, which will yield research, and which you think is right, and it should apply to your problem. So that's one. It should be novel. That's why I said that you need to do a lot of literature review. If you don't do enough literature review, you will be redoing things which has already been done, right? Third is non-obvious, right? Your claim must be such. Sometimes I have seen many of the LLM, PhD level, sometimes people will just see, they will do a research and all those things, and they will say, oh, people need to have more awareness about law, or laws need to be more effectively implemented. That's the lousiest uh, uh, argument that you can give, that laws are not implemented. Right? It's so obvious that it is so obvious. There is nothing you can say that, oh, so and so law was not being implemented properly. And at the end of the research that you do, and say there would be awareness about the law, and there would be it would be more means that it should be implemented properly. It is no research at all, right? It's so obvious in this one. It should be useful. Now, it should be whatever you should give, which should have some value, and people can work upon on this one, right? So some of the common claims that we do is that we sometimes say such and such law is unconstitutional, and then we prove it with our argument that whether it's constitutional or unconstitutional. The legislature ought to have enacted the following law. So you would say that you have some argument that the present law is not good, and the legislature should implement this kind of, or to enact this kind of law. And it said you have problem with the interpretation of the law or a latest judgment, and you say that it has been not being properly interpreted, and the statute means such and such. Maybe the courts did mistake and all those things. See, in fact, very recently in the print, I have written a very short piece on how the high courts have given very weird decisions on some issues relating to women, in spite of the fact that there has been a recent publication of the Supreme Court of Supreme Court on women a feminist issue, right? In spite of that handbook that the Supreme Court has come up, the high courts have given. So I showed them some of the, so I have demonstrated some of the very unfortunate decisions of various high courts, and I said that, look, these things need to be taken more seriously, and Supreme Court must do something more to this one, and that was my argument on this one, and they can be being a part of review system. When you get elevated, these things can come up, and Supreme Court, one example that very infamous skin to skin judgment, in that way the judge did not get an elevation to did not get a tenure, and eventually did not get elevation to the Supreme Court if she has some years left with her. So that was, then you can say that my empirical research show that the law is inadequate in such and such manner. So you can base your research on an empirical study, and then you can say that you may look at it from a particular perspective, and they said from this perspective the law looks bad and should be changed in such and such manner. So these are some of the arguments that you have to these are some very common types of claims that we make in our write-up. So what do you do, right? So this is possibly the most difficult one, that you're eventually writing down. So just don't claim, you start writing, you substantiate your arguments, right? You put all kinds of authorities that right? Claims, counter claims, right? All these things you have to eventually say, you have to write, right? If I look at your article, for that matter, right? In your article, what you do is that this is on just a 10-page article. Why I'm talking about 10-page article? Let's say many of the places you will see that articles minimum length is 3,000 words. So that is in the range of 10 to 12 pages or so. That's the kind of a length that we so if you are having a 10-page article, your introduction should be some around 1 to 1.5 page. introduction, right? Your body would be like, which you divide in parts and chapters, should not be more than 7.5 and 8 pages, and there should be 1 page of conclusion, right? Is it is not something a thumb rule, but more or less it is good to follow this one for writing an article. And my calculation is only on 10 page. You can change it accordingly, right? You can go up and down 20% here and there, 10% here and there, doesn't matter, right? So what is that you should write in your introduction? So I'll tell you that, what you know. So first of all, give a short background. Like, for example, you are doing an mm, article on, say, for example, that I was talking about some cyber attacks. So you can start it from that. Sometime back, few months back, there was a cyber attack and in AIMS. So you can start with that one. That that becomes some background information, and that kind of or for example, cyber fraud. You can bring in that whole concept of Jamtara and not definitely not from the web series, but you can talk about that one. You can talk about Gurgaon. You can talk about Mewat. That there are lots of cyber frauds that are going on. So you have to state what the problem is. So you can give this kind of background. Then you have to state what your problem is. Describe why it is important. So why it is important is that so many people are losing money, right, on these kinds of cyber frauds. But then you need to do something about it. Right? Describe what your paper will contribute to the discussion. Means he said that, see, at the end of the paper, I'll give some suggestions to change the IT legal regime in the country. Right? And you can provide a roadmap in your paper. Means if your paper, let's say, have 5 parts. So you can say the part 1 is introduction, part 2 deals with this one, part 3 deals with this, part 4 so and so, and the part 5 is an conclusion. And sometimes you can make a certain idea about the conclusion, right? Why I'm trying to say is that you don't need to be a Sherlock Holmes when you are writing your article, right? You can sometimes, what may happen is that the editor may just look at your conclusion, your introduction part, and can come to your conclusion and look at some of your concluding remarks that what exactly this person is going to do, right? So you उसको ऐसे मत बनाओ कि कोई सनसनी है कि लास्ट तक पढ़ो, फिर क्लाइमेक्स पे पहुंचेगा, फिर तुम्हें पता चलेगा what I am going to do in the conclusion. You don't need to do this one, right? So you can sometimes forload your conclusion there, right? So there is the body part. So you can think about that, generally in a 10-page article, 3 or 4 parts or chapters, and this should be balanced. Means if one part is 2 pages, the other part should not be 6 pages, right? So 2.5, 3, this kind of balancing. There is again no thumb rule, but you can really think about this one. And your structure should be such that one part is connected to other part, right? It should integrate facts, law, and your analysis. And be careful when you talk about your title, your subtitles, all kinds of part titles. They should give some idea what you are going to discuss in this part, right? How do you conclude? So what you do is that you can restate your claim, right? Once again, that this is what in my opinion, that that the law is unconstitutional for so and so reasons. That by the time you will be able to summarize your key points, right? And you see that what means, just to see a little bit about this one, that why your claim is useful in this regard. So tell the editor that why your claim is useful and important. Reader, your claim is useful and important, so that you may have to do that and emphasize your implications. So you say that unless these changes are carried out, so there would be some kind of problem with that one. Now, once you have done this one, that one of the thing is that editing, right? In spite of the fact that most of you come from English medium schools, right? You have been reading, writing, speaking for quite a long period of time, but legal academic writing is very different, right? That is not equivalent to your chatting, right? So that is very, very different. So one of the thing is that, and trust me, no matter how your backgrounds are, we come from various different backgrounds. In fact, I come from a very small town, not going to an English medium school, passed out from a government school. So I know how these things have worked over the years. So, and I am sure that many of you have gone to very good schools, but yet I have seen disastrous writing coming out from people whom I have either checked their dissertation, their thesis, their all those things. It's very, very pathetic. So only thing is that because after all, English is an acquired language for all of us, right? We are not native English speakers. That we have to admit, acknowledge, and work accordingly. So you have to go through these drafts quite minutely, right? You can give it to a friend who is a good editor. You can take a printout. This is one of the things that I often used to do, is that take a printout, take a red pen, encircle things, this one. And if really you don't find any mistake in your papers, then you must be a very bad editor, right? You really have not, either you have not done written the paper well, or you are not editing the paper well, right? And improve your language, grammar, punctuation, rectify footnotes, all these things, right? These are peripheral things, but these are very important, because you have to understand that there would be somebody who would be reading that one, and that person must read and understand it very well, right? So that's I said, take a help of an editor, right? So that's what you do in terms of your your writing on this one. The second aspect of this presentation that I want to tell you is that there is an IRAC method. I think almost most of sorry, yeah, sorry, I have to drag it down. So there is another important thing that all of you know, that IRAC, that issue, rule, application, and conclusion, right? This is one theory that you should always remember. It is very important. In fact, this SBI versus Ajay Kumar Sood, our Chief Justice Chandrachud, he had mentioned that judgments must be written in that way. So you have the issue that I was talking about, that researchable issue. Rule, what is the law that is there in this area? Application or analysis, however you read A as. So your analysis and then your conclusion. This IRAC method, you must try to see that you are following this IRAC method, so that you have an issue at hand, you apply the rule, you do the analysis, and then you conclude, right? So this IRAC method is important whenever you are answering problem-based questions, whether you are also whether you are doing the kind of moot memorials, articles, all those things, this could come handy. Right. Let me go to the. Yeah. So this is what do we do is that what I just gave a state the issue, state the governing rule of law, means here in the sense is that what is the rule that is applicable, apply the rules to the facts, right, and give your conclusion, right? So that now there are certain basic things that you don't forget when you are writing an article, right? Article is usually on a well-defined topic, right? You don't vaguely write on that one. So say, for example, sometimes you write a topic, human rights in India. That's not no good article at all. Or for example, child rights in India. Or for example, patenting in India. It really does not, it's just, you can write a book on that one, right? So try to see that, so your title is very important, and then it need to be on a very narrowly defined topic. Structure your argument with the map out of framework that I already told you, clear, consistent, and flowing. So that's also important, right? Use headings effectively. Already I am just, whatever I have discussed, I am just reinstating that whole thing once again for your benefit. Be objective and represent arguments of all sides. So this is very important in the sense that whenever you are writing a law article, don't just write your side. There will always be a counter side, and you see this one, that the fact is that there is no right answer in law. There is no right answer in law. There is always a better answer in law. So that's why you see that whatever is right today may not be right tomorrow. On a given day, a judgment when comes out, one argument is given preference over the other. But it does not mean that, if that would have been the only thing, then, the judgments would not have been overturned, right? So you have to give arguments of all sides. Sources are to be identified and reliable. Forget sources like iPleader, Wikipedia, legal services, right? Sometimes, so much so that one of my students very recently, he wrote an article and he was giving this giving certain views, because I have told them that you have to give footnotes. Suddenly in the footnote, I saw a couple of footnotes are from Quora, right? So if you give this kind of unreliable, unverified sources, it would be detrimental for your article that you are writing. Any good publication will not accept your publication. Use a uniform method, style of citation, whichever citation you use, ILI, Blue Book, Oscola, whichever way. Sometimes you may need APA citation if you are writing in sociological journals and all those things. So whichever one is there, you need to have a uniform style of citation. That itself is a class by now, how to cite. Take care of your language, keep it simple, be precise, check grammar, streamline your language. So they are expected to be short, direct, easy to understand, and do not create ambiguity. See, one of my students is there. She's my research scholar. And one of the things, she's very good in research, in writing and all those things. She has a tendency, I would not say has, she had a tendency to write complex and compound sentences instead of simple sentences. And when you write complex and compound sentences, I hope you understand what complex and compound sentences are, going by English grammar. So what happens is that then the one part of the sentence is not going with the other part of the sentence. So you have to be very careful that, that's why you're keep simple sentences as far as possible. Right. So this is one. I think the main part that I was talking about. But Arvind sir, I think one of the thing that I want to add on to this one is that the plagiarism part, right? Because that's something I think people are thinking that it's a is क्या फर्क पड़ता है, right? And I'll show you कि बहुत फर्क पड़ता है, right? And I'll give you one or two instances that how uh, mm, some casual approaches of students have put universities in trouble, right? I'm not even talking about faculty thing because none of you are faculty, so I'm not talking about faculty issues. I'm talking about student issues. So I have to spend some time with plagiarism because without that, I don't think that, and so-called, the new young people think that, I will do it on ChatGPT and submit things. That is even more dangerous, right? Don't try it out, right? So see, I have to tell you that what plagiarism is, right? So plagiarism generally, is all talks about whenever we are talking about plagiarism, it actually comes from this Latin term plagiare, right? It is mean to kidnap or abduct. Right. So plagiarize is to copy another ideas, words, work, and you pretend them to be your own. Right. So it can how this plagiarism can happen. Right. It can. I want this one down. Yeah. So how it can happen that. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So he was submitting someone's work as your own work, rewriting somebody's work without proper citing sources, using quotation but not citing the source. But however, that does not mean that you will keep on quoting the entire paragraph by paragraph, because plagiarism report also generates that one that 70% of this write-up is plagiarized. And please don't try out this technique of whitening the paper, taking printout, all those things, using zero instead of O, right, to beat plagiarism, right? Deliberately writing wrong sentences so that it is not captured in plagiarism. These are all done and dusted ideas, so it does not really matter. And that's not the objective of writing that paper. Citing some, but not all passages what you have cited. So you have taken 3 passages, you cite one and you leave 2. So that would not be there. Providing proper citation, but fails to change the structure and wording of the borrowed ideas. That's what paraphrasing is. Sometimes we need to paraphrase. Now there are tools for paraphrasing. You can do that one. But again, one of the thing I would tell you is that you are paraphrasing an entire idea, entire thing, and put it in another way. It is not that you have created a research article, inaccurately citing the sources, relying too heavily on other works, that so much of other work you have cited that you don't have an originality of your own. So you may cite 20 different authors talking about things, but in the process, तुम कहना क्या चाहते हो, that get lost. That is also a kind of plagiarism, right? Fails to bring original thought into text. This is important. You have to have some original thought into text. So why should I cite sources? So it is giving credit to the original author. It would be helpful for others who want to find out more about your ideas. Sometimes what we happen is that we say something and we might have borrowed it from certain things. So if somebody wants to know more about this one, you can go and get those things. Citing sources shows that, yeah, this is also one thing. when I see a article with lot of citations, other things, right, all these things, so I can understand that a lot of research has gone into, right. That also gives an idea that this person has done a lot of research, and that strengthens your work. But however, I have to see that the bottom line of all these things, that why I should cite sources, goes back to that thing that I have told earlier: read widely. If you don't read widely, you can never ever cite uh, appropriately, right. This is one example that I was trying to tell you, is that you see, this is an one project that was submitted to me by one of my students, and you see this one, right, that similarity is only 2%, but then again AI is 31%. So that 2% is the similarity, but Turnitin or any other softwares nowadays is generating AI separately. So even though it is showing 2%, there is 31% AI. There are many such one. I am just showing one of this one, that how it is, right? And this is all because of the impact of ChatGPT. See, you people have to be careful about this one. One is ChatGPT has a certain uh, cutoff date. I think the cutoff date is sometime in September 2022, 2021, I think. So anything that has happened after that is not, ChatGPT does not consider. Now, ChatGPT, what it does is that it's a kind of, it's a kind of a improved Google. So if you want to say that, write an essay on domestic violence, so what Google will do is that Google will just give you some sources. ChatGPT, what they will do is that they will develop an article out of those sources. Now you have to understand that ChatGPT can only access those sources which are available on net. It will not be able to look into copyrighted material or things which are not available on net. So you may get, so ChatGPT may write this essay on domestic violence from Wikipedia, from iPleaders, from legal services, and may not be from some American journals and good Indian journals and all those things. Because whatever it can produce, it will do. So that's another, the quality of ChatGPT. Eventually, what it's giving could be very, very poor, right? And consequences of plagiarism, you can see this one. It is academic dishonesty, unethical. Promotion can be stopped, right? Withdrawal of degrees or credits, right? And then you can have a legal action under this Copyright Act there. So, and there are imprisonment and fine. This one, in fact, there was a case, I forgot to mention about this one, NLSIO versus PV Hardu, I think the case name is, of 2022, that one. So where a person's at NLSIO, a person's promotion was stopped because he has produced a plagiarized report. Eventually, the case went to the Karnataka High Court and all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court gave lenient judgment in favor of the student, but there is a footnote, a big footnote for the student, is that he is a son of a sitting Karnataka High Court judge. So maybe, the judges तो कभी अपना देखते ही नहीं है, right? All justice, law only for people around, not for them, right? So that you may not be that all the time that kind of fortunate, right? So this is there, and one thing is that I don't know whether you are well aware of this one, that there is something called UGC regulations in this one. University Grants Commission, Promotion of Academic Integrity and Prevention of Plagiarism in Higher Educational Institute Regulation 2018. So this is the regulation that everybody is now falling back on. And this applies to students, faculty, researchers, staff of all higher education institutions. And accordingly, only 10% is allowed, right? However, all your content page, other things, all these peripherals are all excluded. And it also excludes common knowledge or coincidental term and up to 14 consecutive words. Now, don't ask me that why it is 14 and why not 15 or 13. I don't have the answer for that one, but this is what the law is. Some people, I have a friend who has written a nice article on this one. Said Debashish, Professor Debashish. He has written an article and he has said that how can you quantify ethics? You are 10% bad or you are 20% bad and all those things. So that's another argument. But I'm saying that this is what the law is, right? 2000. Please look into this one, 2018 regulation, and there are various stages. Up above 60% will be a serious offense, right? So this is the UGC regulation that I was talking about. So basically, I have mentioned to you three things. One is that all the basic things, that how you write an article, write an article. Second thing I mentioned about the IRAC method. And the third thing that I mentioned to you is about the plagiarism and consequences of that one. Right. So I thank you all. So you can ask me questions and whatever you want to ask. I'm ready for that one.
Yes, sir. So we have received certain questions in the chat box. Harshita will be moderating the same.
Okay. Okay.
The first question we have: can you suggest some good paraphrasing tools?
One is that Quillbot is there, right? So Quillbot is one good paraphrasing tools I have used, and however, you require a credit card for that one, and the payment is in dollars, but it is not very expensive. I think it is 7,000-8,000 a year or so, right? ऐसा ही कुछ है, and there is one more tool that I have used once. I'm forgetting that one, but Quillbot is a good tool. There is also one more I'm forgetting. Some years back I have used that one, and I have also used Grammarly for time. So Grammarly is good for not for paraphrasing, but it really detects and it gives that on the grammar part of it. That yeah.
I think students should not use any kind of the software for paraphrasing.
Yes, yes. That is so, because they ask. See, one thing is that I tell you what will happen is that if you rely too much on softwares, right, for them, you uh, 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 your own skills would be blunted, right? Maybe if you have used it, like say for example, by the time probably you come to our age or something even older and all those things, and then you probably use that one, it's okay. But if you start at a very early age with paraphrasing tools and all, so your English skills would be severely be affected.
That's
right.
right.
So next question. I have experienced situations in the past regarding plagiarism check, where entirely self-composed portions are also flagged as plagiarized contents. How should one circumvent such situations?
What is saying?
Like the person had experienced
Repeat
situations
question,
in the
please.
past. Sir?
Self-composed portions. Acha. Self-composed. See, to be very honest with you, it's very, very unusual that you have written something out of your own and that is plagiarized. Like, for example, if I ask any of you to write that what you have done from since morning, write me a page. I can bet that if I put that on, and if you write from your own, if I put that on Turnitin, the result would be 0%. Because it is your self-composed thing, right? Now, when I say, but if you are in a legal write-up, you have to see that if you are banking on certain legal provisions, judgments, other things. So are you using those, even though you are writing on your own, are you using the similar kinds of expressions that is there in those judgments and or legal provisions? It will definitely show as plagiarized, right? Like, for example, if I say that you are writing about your constitution and said, or say, for example, article 21, you can say that our article 21 says that no one shall be deprived of life and liberty except procedure established by law and all this. You may be writing that one self, but the whole expression that you have given is already there in article 21. So even though you are honestly writing that one, but because you have used the expression which is already there in article 21, it will definitely catch, right? And there could be some odd things I really don't know how to. But most of the cases you will not find. This is a very unusual situation.
So, what are some tools as we students can use to check the plagiarism accurately, as we are not provided with the access of Turnitin by the university itself?
So Turnitin has become so that you should ask this question to Arvind sir. So yeah, right. See, what has happened is that Turnitin has become extremely expensive nowadays. Right. So that's one of the thing. There are some, I think, Viper and some tools which are there which are not not a kind of a paid one. There I'm forgetting some tools are there, so you get that one those tools, but they are other than that the only way I think there are some flag scan and some flag tracker कुछ ऐसे tools कुछ है that which you can use it without any payment. But these are again that the university that is something the university can have a policy and how to give access to students, and this is I think a very genuine concern, right? That how do we write that one, because and what happens is that even for us also, if I say that, oh, I will let you check only once, right, that also becomes problematic because you really don't know. You may want to check it twice or thrice. So there could be some kind of cap, that one. But yeah, I think university, Amity is a very rich university, so Amity can provide. Right, so.
But Dr. Sarkar, one thing let me share with you here. Number of times I have written for international publications, number of times. No time is there when they require me to submit the Turnitin report. I have never submitted the Turnitin report. I do not know how do they do, what do they do, but they never ask me. My paper has been published in a renowned international journals.
हाँ सर, बट थोड़ा सा क्या होता है कि बच्चों में वो होते हैं कि they are also anxious because they are also at the very nascent stage, so sometimes they are also anxious because to what extent my similarity is there, so they can work on that one. So sir, it's a thing that comes from in Jamia also about this one, that give us access and all those things that I have I found, I think there is some genuinity there because they are very young. So once they grow up, then they would figure it out.
But one advantage which I'm looking at while we talk of Turnitin, that always, okay, when a student get the result of Turnitin, then the student start to paraphrase. The students, some student use the software, but some student do not. So those students who do not use the software paraphrasing, they are developing their skills. So this is
sir,
big advantage.
that is, and sir, the only thing is that key students also have to understand this one, that paraphrasing, when they are paraphrasing, no, these are robots. These are not humans. So they would paraphrase in a way which may change the meaning altogether.
Yeah.
Like I think one time there was means one of my colleague was laughing at that, this Indian penal code has been paraphrased to Indian correctional code, right? And the student have used that one only. That instead of Indian penal code, so a student have used Indian correctional code because that's what the software has given. So that the question that you asked and we were talking about, so that could be a trouble. So for young people, right? So yeah.
Yes, Harshita, your next question.
So we have next two questions related to footnotes. Are the footnotes that we add in our research paper also included in the plagiarism report, or only
No,
the main
no.
content of the research
No.
paper is included?
So that's why there are something called many of the journals do not appreciate speaking footnotes. So speaking footnotes, what may happen is that in the speaking footnotes, you may कि अच्छा चलो मेन टेक्स्ट में नहीं दे पाए तो फुटनोट में ही पूरा कहानी बता दे, right? So they don't encourage footnotes in there. And other thing is that I have to tell students also that what we said about this that 10% thing, sometimes good journals they make a qualitative study also कि अच्छा चलो तुम्हारे 10 की जगह 12 हो गया है. But let me scroll through that one. Where exactly this kind of similarity is coming? If they find that no, they are coming only in the footnote, some things here and there, some of the things which you can never change. So in that context, it is coming. So they just ignore it and they go forward. Right.
Sir, I guess you have answered the next question also. What can be the remedy to reduce plagiarism in footnotes?
Footnotes, plagiarism, that's what I'm saying. Don't put speaking footnotes. And also sometimes, these are this I would say sometimes also we have to use our own logic, right? That if we think, sir, ऐसे चीज हुआ था कि हम कुछ दिन पहले आर्टिकल लिख रहे थे, so suddenly I found that this footnote is coming 11%. So then I thought that, okay, how to reduce this one? So what I did was that I deleted a couple of footnotes. So immediately it came 10%. So certain times what happens now, I would say from a research point of view that 11% was actually better. Because what happened is that there were actually that footnotes were required there. But then what I did was that I made a combination, means I wrote from 2-3 sources. And so I footnoted all these 2-3 sources. Then I thought that, okay, they are not liking that I'm being so honest. So I became a little dishonest and I removed a couple of footnotes, kept one, as if all these arguments I have got from one source. But actually, that's not the truth, that I got it from 2-3 sources. But unnecessarily, I was seeing that, when I generated the Turnitin report, they were catching those footnote itself. So I just removed them. It was 10. So 11 से 10 हो गया. And so sometimes the people mechanically look at things. So they may not, because it is 11, they may even not accept this one. So I removed that one, and this one happened. So sometimes we have to take some decisions which are not completely illegal, but some shrewd decisions we have to take. By the way, before any other questions or comments, I have to tell you that one or two things that what could go wrong. Students using this kind of things. See, one of the thing and all the students who are listening to this one must listen to this story carefully. What happens is that one day in Jamia. We got an email, and one fellow has been very angry, and he has marked a copy to many people in the university about a plagiarized article of him, right? That is being written, means reproduced by one of our students, right? So we took cognizance of that matter, right? And then what happens is that then we realize that what exactly happened in this one. So what happened was that there were some students of Jamia, they had kind of initiated a journal, right? That was not a Jamia journal. Students of Jamia started a journal. And then what happened was that in that journal, this fellow was an editor of it. So what he did was that this particular they accepted a kind of a article or did not accept a kind of an article, and what he did was that he had published this article somewhere else in his name, right? And that's why this fellow is so furious about. Basically, this Jamia did not have a kind of a direct stake in this one, but only because they are students of Jamia, so they complained to us. So we dealt with this one. And it was an online journal that the student has published. So he wrote to that place. They took down that article, and that was also on a foreign journal, right? So they took down that article. And then what happened was that we reprimanded this fellow. Then वही है कि सर मेरे फादर के किडनी खराब है, हार्ट खराब हो गया, ये अभी है कि मेरा तो जिंदगी बर्बाद हो जाएगा. This is same kind of रोना धोना this student started saying. But this fellow was pinching us because no, it is your. Then we had to say, see, we don't have a locus standi in that matter because it is not Jamia journal. But only because Jamia students have started a journal, we cannot be held directly responsible for that one. Right. So what happened was that I took an interest in that one. Then I was Googling about this one. Then I found this fellow who has published this article in our students' journal. He has also published it somewhere else. So that was the same article he was publishing it too. This fellow again took his article, published it in some other place. So मतलब एक चोर दूसरे चोर को बोल रहे हैं, दूसरा उसने. So you see this one, but the problem is that although and then he was threatening us, हम जाएंगे कोर्ट जाएंगे, ये जाएंगे, वो जाएंगे. वो तो ऐसे ही नए students बोलते रहते हैं, doesn't matter. So but the point is that in the whole process, Jamia was dragged in this matter. So even though this, students sometimes do playfully this one, not doing this one, and this fellow was behind us for a very long time, right? So unnecessarily, even though Jamia was not there involved, only because they were Jamia students, so we also were caught in the game. We just brushed aside that matter. But imagine, sir, if it would have been a Jamia journal, then we would have been in serious trouble. So this is one thing that I wanted to share with the students here, that please don't think that plagiarism is just like that. It's a plaything. There could be serious consequences of that matter. एनीवे सारे लोग प्लेजरिज्म के बारे में ही पूछ लिए, बट आर्टिकल लिखना है उसके बारे में I think people have understood
Sir,
the approach that I was talking about, because I knew that everybody is so worried nowadays about plagiarism. और
sir,
सर
we have last question.
ऐसा भी है मैडम भी कि जानबूझ के स्टूडेंट्स गलत सेंटेंसेस लिखते हैं ताकि प्लेजरिज्म में ना आ जाए. What is this? Some question. Yeah, what was the last question?
So
Could
we
you-
have next question, last question. It's very hard to publish one's research paper. Please let us know what do publishers mainly look into any research paper for getting it to be published.
Nee. See, don't say it is hard. Yeah, it is definitely not a child's play. But I tell you that I have seen that people who are doing some serious research, they are publishing. First thing I must tell you, all of you, don't fall prey to this priced publication. कि 500 रुपया दो, 600 रुपया दो, 1000 रुपया दो, हम पब्लिश करवा लेंगे. Right? This is the first thing that I must say. That don't fall prey to that one. This is just a money making process. उसमें हो सकता है कि एक ISSN हो. My idea would be that the first thing is start writing. People are not writing, right? You have to write, right? See, nothing happens. You write a blog. There are so many things that you can write, right? You can write a blog, write something more of an informal thing. Start writing, and you should always see that I would prefer you to write on well-established means other than personal blogs, well-established blogs like Live Law, like Scroll, like Times of India, Print. Of course, Print भी थोड़ा सा सीनियर होना चाहिए, नहीं तो नहीं छपेंगे. बहुत सारे ऐसे blogs है, right? In fact, I see that Live Law carries lot of articles by students. Many of my students have written article in Live Law, and they're very quite good. And other thing is that don't think that they will not publish. They will publish. Only thing is that some of the things that I told you in my presentation, that write something new, something which is useful, something is not which is non-obvious. Have a clear stand on a topic. ऐसा नहीं है कि ये भी होता है, वो भी होता है. If you think that this is what the law need to be, you stick to that position. That this is what I think. So I say that the first part of my presentation was all about that, how you organize your articles, your thoughts, right? And please write. Writing is not that easy, right? We think that it is easy. It is not. Unless you start writing, it will always be a stumbling block. And most of the thing what happens is that most of students take the class projects for granted, right? Ki class ka hi to project hai. But I tell you that if you do the class project well, you will get good numbers, and that class project can be the ground for creating an article. So you already have done some serious work for the class project, and then you go ahead and you just publish the same thing, right, with certain kinds of modifications. So the class projects sir, all of them have class projects?
Yes, sir. They do.
So you think, sir, then they are having 50 odd subjects in 5 years' time, 50 odd subjects. So 50 odd subjects means you are writing 50 research papers, supposedly research papers.
Supposedly.
Right? Supposedly research papers. So 50 research papers you are writing. If you are not able to produce 5 of them as publications, then there is something problematic with you. You already are exposed to 40 to 50 research papers. I am saying take it as a goal that one paper 1 year. You will have 5 papers. So if you graduate, by the time you graduate, if you have 5 publications, I'm talking about the lowest possible thing. 5 publications as a law student, it is more than sufficient. And if you are not able to do that one, that 5 paper, what have you been doing for all these 40, 50 research papers?
Sir, our university has taken a very, very good steps this year onwards. All dissertation students has to publish at least one paper in a journal or in book or some, this a seminar or conference proceedings. Very good step they have taken.
Yes, sir. This is another thing that you reminded me, that seminar and conference, people must go and present paper on that one. That could be a groundwork for creating a publication. So you go and publish. See, ऐसे seminar conference में तो वैसे ही चले जाते हैं कि ठीक है चलो present कर लो. Not so much of scrutiny is there, but that could be turned into a publication. In fact, I have done few of my publications like that. Right, later on I have worked on that one and I've done that one. What is that brief about the contents of an article? I think I gave that one, that is the introduction, that body part and conclusion. And body part, and I told you that, in terms of your introduction, right, so you have to kind of this, I think, yeah, so I think I already did that one, right? So some introductory part that what you need to do as a part of your introduction, and then yeah, this is what I said, that introduction में ये सारे होना चाहिए, कि short background, problem, how it is important, your thesis, the roadmap of your paper, and forward your conclusion. फिर body part में वो आ जाएंगे, वो जो IRAC method की हमने बात बोले, issue, you have to identify your issue, you have to see what law is applicable, then you do your analysis, and then you summarize your arguments and give something as new. And by the way, one of the things that I also have to say, please don't bring new arguments in the conclusion. Conclusion means conclusion. You have to conclude everything. You don't bring new things in conclusion. कोई फुटनोट नहीं होगा, कोई न्यू आर्गुमेंट नहीं होगा, जो भी करना है पहले कर लो, बाद में नहीं.
Is that correct?
And citation, yeah, the citation which we put, this how to avoid that. This again, I told you, these are again number games that sometimes we play. See, you have to see that, what kind of, again, one more thing is that sometimes I have seen, like for example, in the footnotes, what happens is that sometimes, say for example, I am giving a reference of Article 14 or Article 15 or any kind of, and then I quote this article. The moment I quote this article, this will be captured. So avoid quoting article. I am doing it with good faith, right? Sir, actually, Devarshi, argument was this one: 10% fraud, 20% fraud, or 12% fraud. How do you write the whole article, whole legal provision in that one? You may be doing it with good intention, but that will catch the one.
That is there. So, Harshita, I think question hour should be, and now
Yes, sir.
put on rest. So just you give the, no, I'm sorry, Dr. Priyanka, please.
Thank you, sir, for your knowledgeable session. As a student, I can assure how much we have learned today. Now I request Dr. Priyanka Ghai, Assistant Professor, Amity Law School, Noida, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Harshita. On behalf of NTCC Planning Committee, I am grateful for this knowledgeable session. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Sarkar for his valuable time and enlightening us with the matter of writing a research paper, from finding the problem, especially relating to legal background, how the present Gen Z has to do the reading, writing with their present circumstances and tools available, from the need of in-depth literature review to the structure of the paper to the editing and the rules of the conclusion required. And most importantly, the IREC method, which is an easy way learning for all of us to answer the research problems. I also extend my gratefulness to Dr. D.K. Bandopadhyay, Chairman, Amity Law School, and Dr. Arvind P. Bhanu, Additional Director, Amity Law School, for providing all possible opportunity to all our students to learn all legal aspects with best possible resource persons available. I'm thankful to all the attendees and hope they have taken this opportunity to learn and shall use this learning in their work in future. I wish everyone a very happy Republic Day in advance. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And it was really an interactive session also. A lot of questions were posed. Right. So thank you so much.
Thank
Jai
you,
Hind,
so
sir.
much,
sir.
sir.
Jai
Thank
Hind.
you. Thank you, dear sir. Thank you.
Thank
We
you, sir.
will meet again. Thank you, dear sir.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So, with your permission, can we close the session now?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.